guys, welcome to my channel and my first ever video. Today I'm going to be talking about ways of applying liquid foundation using tools such as our fingers, a sponge and different brushes. If you are in Australia like I am, you'll find that there's a lot of limitations when it comes to not only products but also tools. Today I'll be talking about Real Techniques, which is a product which is available in Priceline. They are on the medium end of the affordability spectrum. I would say that they are quite affordable, but still not as cheap as brushes that you can get online from overseas. But it also comes into the accessibility as well. So a lot of people don't like to do their online shopping because they don't know what to get and all that sort of stuff, which I completely understand. So I'm going to try and focus everything that I have on my channel. I'll do the best that I can to just talk about products that are easily accessible for us here in Australia. I'm finding a bit of a restriction when it comes to eyeshadows and stuff like that, like really good quality ones. So I'll have to look further into that. But when it comes to our drugstore makeup, even that is rather expensive when you really think about it. So I hear other YouTubers talk about drugstore makeup that is costing between like $7 and $10, you know, which is fantastic for foundations and stuff like that. But us here in Australia, we're still paying at least $30 for a foundation before it's on sale, unless we can get it on sale at Priceline or a chemist like that, where it's about 40 to 50% off. Then we're getting closer to the American prices. So I'm going to do the best that I can to talk about products that are easily accessible for us here in Australia. So myself, I don't live in a capital city. I don't have access to David Jones, Mecca Maxima, all of those stores that have the high-end products and all of the luxury items and stuff like that. So I really am restricted to what I am able to access. So I will be focusing on things that I can get myself. So I can shop at Big W, Target, Kmart, Priceline. We have a few chemists around as well that do really good sales, and I do try to stick to my sales when it comes to purchasing makeup. I know that sounds rather cheap, but it's just the best way to go about it, especially being the junkie that I am. I try to make sure that I'm saving as much as I can while buying everything. So yeah, that's going to be the focus of my channel. Hopefully everyone is able to get something from this. I will try to use high-end products where I can, but as I said, it really comes down to affordability and accessibility for me. I would like to stick towards more the products that I can just pop out and grab. I know a lot of people want to try a lot of makeup but are too scared to buy it online, instead, you know, when it comes to how expensive it is or choosing the wrong color and all that sort of stuff. So keeping that in mind, that's really what I want to try and focus on. So yeah, I really hope that you guys like this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and otherwise I'll go right into it. Okay, so we're going to get started. As you can see, I don't have anything on my face whatsoever. I am wearing a little bit of mascara, but that's about it. So I'm going to get my liquid foundation. I'm using the Revlon Colourstay in Sand Beige, and this one's for the combination and oily skin. I am combination. I do get quite oily throughout the T-zone, so I like to make sure that I get products that are suited for my skin type. And what I'm going to do is take about half a pump just to begin with, just on the fingertips, just like that. And I'm going to want to, I usually use my first 3 fingers, put the foundation just on the fingertips. You're not wanting to go any further down, otherwise you're just going to be wasting product. And then from there, I just like to start patting the foundation onto my skin, using soft patting motions, using my fingertips to get up underneath the eye, starting to pat that in there. Just going to grab a little bit more. Half a pump was not enough, so same thing, just keep patting the product all around. And as you can see, like, it's quite blotchy, so what I just keep doing is patting it in, and then once I find that it starts to blend out, then I will do small swiping motions. So just like this. I'm not wanting to use long streaky motions because that will cause the foundation to streak. So just a combination of the patting and then swiping slightly just to make sure that we're getting the foundation all blended out, making sure we're putting some on our eyelids, covering any redness that we have there, and then just slowly bringing it down onto the neck. And there we go, that's the foundation blended in perfectly, just with the tips of our fingers. Okay, so now onto sponges. Today I'm going to be using the Real Techniques sponge. This one I found at Priceline. It was about the $10 mark. I did get it on sale. It is the Miracle Complexion Sponge. It's a dupe for the Beauty Blender. This one here is a brand new one. It's also dry, that's why it's looking so small. And this is what the Real Techniques Beauty Blender looks like when it's dry. This one, excuse this one's dirty, but you can see the difference in them in size when you go from a dry one to a wet one. So the best way to use this is to run it under water in the sink, squeezing it while you're running it under the water, and then just squeeze it out to make sure that there's no more water left on it. Then what I like to do is get a towel and put it in there and just dry it out just a little bit more. So you want it to be damp, not soaking wet. And this one's fantastic to use because it helps put hydration back into the skin. So this is really good for people who have dry skin, or it helps also shear out your foundation so it can be not as heavy or just easier application. So what I like to do is, I don't put foundation on the back of my hand very often. What I do is use a small mirror here, and so what I'll do is get a pump of that onto my mirror. And then see, with the sponge here, there's a flat edge to it as well as a pointy edge. So this flat edge is perfect for getting around the face, and the pointy edge is for getting up closer to around the under eye. Personally, I prefer to use the sponge for my concealer under my eye area, just because it just blends everything out. As I said, it will make everything a lot more sheer. So with a concealer, you can find sometimes you get heavy-handed under there. It just helps blend everything out perfectly. So what I'm going to do is just take the Beauty Blender. I'm just going to dab it on like that. And then I'm just going to start at the center of the face and just start working my way out and just patting it. You don't have to push in too hard for this one. Just patting lightly will do the job. And you just want to keep pouncing, I guess would be the word to use. So continuing to pounce, you can squeeze the sponge up to get nice and close under your eye. And then patting down and around your neck. So with the sponge, you don't ever want to swipe. Swiping is just not a technique used with the Beauty Blender unless you've got way too much on there and you sort of need to swipe it away. But you'll find that the Beauty Blender will pick up the product quite nicely, and while you pat it around. And there we go, that's how to apply foundation using a Beauty Blender. Okay, so next we're going to be talking about different types of brushes that you can use for foundation. So here I have the Real Techniques Base Core Collection brushes that I picked up from Priceline. I do find that there are a few brushes in here that will be really good for applying foundation. I also have the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. And one of my holy grails that I use is the Morphe M439, which is fantastic, and as I said, is my holy grail. I use this foundation brush, but for today I'm going to be excuse me, for today I'm going to be using the Expert Face Brush. There's also another brush that I have, which is from Real Techniques, and this is the stippling brush. This one here is for stippling foundation, very much the same motion as the Beauty Blender, making sure that you're pouncing the foundation in. This one is not to be used for buffing. You can buff with it, but it's not its sole purpose. This one is to stipple the foundation on in a pressing motion until it's all blended out. So there is that one as well if you're wanting that more gentle application. Okay, so for this one I will just quickly go through. If you have dry skin, this is not going to be a technique that you're wanting to use, especially if you're finding that you're quite dry in certain areas, as the buffing motion will exfoliate your skin. It can irritate the dry areas a bit more, so you end up pushing the foundation in and then buffing it around. So that's what this is. This is a buffing brush, and this one here, which is called the buffing brush from the collection, this is also used for the buffing motion as well and can be used for powder or foundation. If you have dry skin, you're wanting to stick with more of a flat paddle brush, which you can use to apply your foundation in smooth, long and short motions. If you are dry, you're wanting to make sure that you're just staying with the way that your hair grows on your face, so making sure that you only stay in that one direction. Otherwise, if you are combination too oily, this is a perfect technique for you. So once again, I'm going to take my trusty little mirror. I'm going to apply some foundation onto there, and I'm going to take the brush and the mirror, and I'm just going to just pat that in there. So I started directly in the liquid, and then I've moved to the side a little bit just to dab it out. And then what I'm going to do is start, as always, starting in the center of the face, and just start patting this onto my face. And then from there, I can start to buff. So I go backwards and forwards with patting and buffing. I just find the patting motion or the pouncing motion really does just leave a flawless finish. I'm just going to pick up some more for this side. So once again, I'm just patting that in, and then I'll start to buff. So the buffing motion is to help make sure that if you've got too much foundation on in that area, it will pick up that foundation and start to move it around. And then the patting motion will make sure that you're pushing the product into the skin and creating a flawless finish. Alright, so that was one pump. You can see there I'm just getting the last bits of it now, and I'm able to do the remainder of my forehead. And then I like to bring the foundation down my neck using big buffing motions. Which will help blend everything down. So there we go. There's foundation application using a buffing brush. Okay guys, I've just finished off the rest of my face here. If you're wanting a tutorial on this one, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to do a tutorial on the look that I've done for today. Other than that, that's it from me. I do hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. See ya!